Shalom, 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 Yasha'Allah, shalom. Ahabatah Yasha'Allah, Barakatah Yasha'Allah, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom. Right, this is another Sabbath lesson coming from HOI Georgia, HOI Atlanta. Right, I'm Deacon Sharapar. This is my bond, the mighty Quran. Right, and we are bringing to you on this month of February. Listen, this is the video you got to share with everybody in your family. If you're so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American, right, especially if you're so-called Black, African American, Haitian, Trinidadian, Jamaican, Afro-Latina. If you identify as Black, if you're a Nigerian, you got to let people know that the Bible is Black history. The Bible itself is Black history, right? So like, share, subscribe to my channel, share this video, because what I'm going to bring to you for this so-called Black History Month, you know what I'm saying? That's how they do us. They take the shortest month of the year and they toss it at us, you know what I'm saying? They say, hey, this year month is the Black History Month, so we're going to take it. We'll take it, you know what I'm saying? But your Bible is Black history, right? This is going to be a short little lesson to prove that to you, that the Bible is your Black history. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe, right? Send this out to the masses, right? Tell them come and join the classes, right? Because this is something they'll never tell you, that this is your culture. This is the menorah. This is your culture. Right? I got a menorah over here next to me too. This is your culture, right? Not Kwanzaa, Hanukkah. Right? You are the real Jews of the Bible. You so-called Blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans make up the 12 tribes of Israel and the rest of the Israelites that scattered abroad. Right? But let's get into this lesson, right? Because what we're going to prove today is that the Bible is Black history. Right? It's the history of you so-called Black people coming out of Egypt, which is a Black place. Let's not get it twisted. I know there's a lot of Arabs in Egypt now because of the Crusades and because of what they call conquering, right? And colonialism, right? But the Arabic Empire does not include ancient Egypt. That started with the Byzantine Empire under the guise of Islam. And then it went all through the Crusades, Istanbul and all that type of stuff. The Byzantine Empire was an Islamic empire that had us in it too, because we were the Moors, right? Us, the Arabs and the Africans all made up as the Moors. We was part of the armies of the Byzantine Empire because a lot of us were slaves off the market. And we had a chance of gaining our freedom through military conquest. So yes, even in the Dark Ages, we ruled Europe too under military might. A lot of us as Israelites, since we're the best at everything, we rose up in the ranks. I'm gonna get into that Black history too, later on in this month. However, what I'm going to prove to you right now though, is that the Bible, this Bible, is Black history. So y'all like, y'all share, subscribe, and let's get Genesis chapter 2. If y'all can hear me, let me get a con 777 in the chat. Should I bring out the speaker? Turn on the speaker right quick. If y'all can hear me, let me get a con 777 in the chat. All right? Get that mic. Can I be heard? There you go. Right? We're going to prove to you that the Bible is Black history. Right? So let me get Genesis chapter 2, start at verse 10.
This is the book of Genesis, chapter 2 and verse 10.
Come on.
And a river went out of Eden to water the garden, and from thence it was parted, and became into 4 heads.
So this is talking about the Garden of Eden, where Adam was. The beginning of the Bible, the beginning of the history of the Bible. This is Genesis chapter 2, the beginning. Read on.
Verse 11. The name of the first is Pison. That is, which compasseth the whole land of Hagar,
Right.
where there is gold.
Read.
Verse 12. And the gold of the land is good.
Come on.
There is Beton,
Right.
and the oxen stone,
And the ox stone. Actually,
onyx stone. Verse 13. And the name of the second river is Gidon, and the same is that compasseth the whole land of Ethiopia.
Right. Where's Ethiopia? Ethiopia is in Africa. Even to this very day, right, there was no major, what you would call migration of the people of Ethiopia, right? It wasn't dispersed. Like us Israelites were dispersed in 70 AD, right? When the Roman generals conquered and destroyed our temple and dispersed us all through the four corners of the earth. Most of us ran into Africa, like we're going to bring out in this Israelite history. But the Bible is about black people. It's talking about Ethiopia. Ethiopia itself means what? Right? Dark-skinned people. To this very day, there are dark-skinned people in Ethiopia, from his complexion to my complexion. So this is how the Bible begins. It begins by first mentioning Ethiopia. This has got to be black history. This is not mentioning Europe, the Caucasus Mountains, or any climate, or any place you will find indigenous Caucasians. There's no place you can find Caucasians, period. There was no major migration of the people of Ethiopia. These people have stayed there for centuries. Centuries upon centuries. They haven't been conquered to the point where there was a displacement of the people. In America, there was a major displacement of the people when colonialism happened and the Pilgrims came, right? They murdered the natives of this land and they stole the land. The same thing happened in Australia. The same thing happened in Israel, right? But in Ethiopia, there was no major dispersion of the people. There was no diaspora. So what you have, Ethiopia to this very day, still a very black place, or what you would call black or colored. Showing that this absolutely geographically is not talking about any place where there's Caucasians. Facts. Right? Read on.
Verse 14. And the name of the third river is Hiddekel. That it is which goeth toward the east of Assyria.
Of Assyria. Another place you will find brown-skinned, dark-skinned people. Right? Assyria. Read on.
And the fourth river is Euphrates.
Is what?
Is Euphrates.
Another place, Euphrates River. To this very day is another place you will find dark-skinned people, brown-skinned people, all over this place. So from the jump, it'll let you understand that this got to be a black man's book from the beginning, from the inception. But let's furthermore prove it, right? Let me get Exodus chapter 2 and start at verse 10. Shalom, Israel. Shalom, Detroit. Right? HOI Atlanta. We got next and we got motion. HOI ATL, baby. We got motion. Shalom, y'all. Exodus, right? The second book of the Bible. Exodus chapter 2, verse 10. Read that for me.
It's the book of Exodus, chapter 2 and verse 10.
Come on.
And the children grew, and she brought him unto Pharaoh's daughter.
She brought him where?
Unto Pharaoh's daughter.
So this is the Egyptian dynasty, right? A very historical dynasty that you can catch in any museum, and you know that the ancient Egyptians were what you would call black or dark skin. people rich with melanin. That was the ancient Egyptians. Not the Egyptians you see now that are more like Arabic, right? Or mixed nation. No, the Egyptians of antiquity were all dark-skinned people. So first you get from Ethiopia in Genesis to what? Egypt in Exodus. From the beginning and the inception of this book, which you call the Bible, it's all about black people, dark-skinned people, people rich with melanin. Read on.
And he became her son.
And he what?
And he became her son.
So she made Moses her son, right? And if you take a good look at this, you'll see, right? You will see that Egyptian women of antiquity, the ancient Egyptian women, were what you would call black or dark skin. Different shades of brown, right? Just matches the artwork of ancient Egypt completely, the look of our women, the look of our people, right? Making sure you like this video and share this video. This is something to kick off your black history to show you that what? The Bible is black history. Read on.
And she called his name Moses.
Come on.
And she said, because I drew him out of the water.
Right? She drew Moses out of the water. Come on.
Verse 11. And it came to pass in those days when Moses was grown, that he went out into his brethren and looked upon their burdens.
And did what?
And looked upon their burdens.
And he looked upon their burdens. Moses went and looked upon the burdens of the children of Israel. And he realized that, hey, my people are going through it, right? I'm over here living this life as an Egyptian, but I see my people going through it. And Moses passed for an Egyptian because the children of Israel, the real Jews of the Bible, were also a dark-skinned race. To this very day we are a dark-skinned race. Read on.
And he spotted an Egyptian smiting in Hebrew.
Come on.
One of his brethren.
One of his what?
One of his brethren.
Come on.
Verse 12. And he looked this way and that way, and when he saw that there was no man, he slew the Egyptian.
He did what?
He slew the Egyptian.
He slew the Egyptian, man. Moses was what? An activist for his people, man. He was a revolutionary for his people. And you know, that's part of black history, the revolutionaries. Like Nat Turner, Harriet Tubman, Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, Moses. Name Moses too when you talk about a black revolutionary. Huey P. Newton, Fred Hampton, right? Black revolutionary. You gotta add Moses to that. You gotta add the Maccabees to that. You gotta add Christ to that. When you talk about black history and black revolutionaries, right next to Toussaint, Moses. Khan? Right? Let me get the book of Genesis again. Right? Genesis 42 and 1. 42 and 1. Right? Moses was mistaken for the Egyptian, but so was Joseph. Right? Let's get another picture of the Egyptians right quick. Right? Genesis chapter 42, start at verse 1.
This is the book of Genesis, chapter 42 and verse 1.
Come on.
Now when Jacob saw that there was corn in Egypt,
Read.
Jacob said unto his sons, why do ye look one upon another? Verse 2. And he said, behold, I have heard that there is corn in Egypt.
I heard there was what?
Corn in Egypt.
He said there's corn in Egypt. So this is the children of Israel, right? Our forefathers, they in their folly because they done sold their brother Joseph to the Egyptians. Well, they sold their brother Joseph to Arabs, and the Arabs sold him to the Egyptians. And Joseph had to be in Egypt, went to jail in Egypt, had to rise up in the ranks, right? Grind his way to the top. Read on.
Get you down thence, and buy for us from thence, that we may live and not die.
Right. So jump to verse 5.
Verse 5. And the sons of Israel came to buy corn among those that came from the famine was in the land of Canaan.
Right, the famine was in the land of Canaan. So there you go again. Historically, they will tell you that Hamites, because the people of Christianity and Christian biblical scholars will want you to believe we are Hamites, that so-called black people are Hamites. No, they're definitely Hamites in Africa. And look where the children of Israel used to live, with the Hamites. So we was blending in with the Hamites too, right? Blended in with the children of Canaan. So one dark-skinned race of children of Canaan, which are Hamites, and the Egyptians. The Egyptians were Hamites too. So we used to blend in with nothing but dark-skinned races. The children of Israel, right? That was our neighbors all around us. When we had babies, our forefathers used to mix with the children of Ham. We spent 400 years in Egypt mixing with Hamites. Come on now, we not a dark-skinned race. We was in Africa all them years, from the land of Canaan to the land of Egypt. Read on.
Verse 6. And Joseph was the governor over the land.
And Joseph was the governor over the land. Right? Read on.
And he it was that sold to all the people of the land.
Right? He was sold. They sold their brother to the people of that land. Right? Read on.
And Joseph's brethren came and bowed down themselves before him with their faces to the earth.
Right? So his brethren came begging for corn, and they bowed down begging for corn, treating him like some type of governor in Egypt. They even recognized their own brother, because it's been years, and now he looks like a full Egyptian general. They don't even recognize him. So if he was light-skinned and not blending in with the Egyptians that were clearly dark-skinned, right? The Egyptians that were clearly dark-skinned. If he was light-skinned or white, or how the Jewish people look today, they would easily point him out like, Joseph, what are you doing? Right? But since he was dark-skinned like the rest of the Egyptians of antiquity, his brethren didn't even recognize him. Read on.
Verse 7. And Joseph saw his brethren, and he knew them, but made himself strange unto them, and spake roughly unto them. And he said unto them, Whence come ye? And they said, From the land of Canaan to buy food. Verse 8. And Joseph knew his brothers, but they knew him not.
But they what?
They knew him not.
So they even recognized him because he wasn't dressed like a Hebrew. He was dressed like an Egyptian. Right? Right? He was dressed like, one of these guys right here. He was not dressed like an ancient Hebrew. He was dressed like an ancient Egyptian. So they didn't recognize him. And it's been years since they seen him. So now he looks like just another dark-skinned Egyptian. They don't even recognize him. And he's talking to them rough. Because Joseph was really a humble brother. They was just jealous of him. Now he's talking to them rough. What did you come here? Right? Talking to them real rough. They don't even know that's Joseph. You know why? Because he was dark-skinned like the ancient Egyptians. Dark-skinned like the ancient Canaanites. These sons and daughters of Ham. Why is it that the children of Israel throughout the Bible always get mistaken for the sons of Ham? Because we are a dark-skinned race. Back then and even to this very day. The Bible is a black history book, man. You so-called black people are all in it. Right? So let me get, let's jump back to Moses though. Let me get the book of Acts chapter 7 and verse 22. I'm telling you, share this with your family members that claim it's the white man's book, that don't want to believe that we are the Hebrews of the Bible. Show them all this dark-skin connection, all this African connection. Because the Bible is probably the most African book you can ever read. Our ancient land, Israel, is in Africa. It's on that tectonic plate. Don't get it twisted. You so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans don't fall for the trickery. Don't be a goofy. Understand where you're from, right? The 12 tribes of Israel. These white people go by clans. That's why they the KKK, the Ku Klux Klan. We are the tribes. That's why you find tribes here in America of indigenous roots. You find tribes in Africa, because that's where we're from. We're from tribes. They from the clans. We're not the same. And this book is for the 12 tribes of Israel. So you say, yeah, you're from Africa. Okay, our people know we're from Africa. That's where the slave trade took us from. But what tribes in Africa are we related to? 12 tribes of Israel, right? Let's read that.
This is the book of Acts, chapter 7 and verse 22.
Come on.
And Moses was learned in all the wisdom of the Egyptians.
So Moses was learned in all the wisdom of the Egyptians, right? He studied under the Pharaoh and all the people of Egypt, all the scholars of Egypt, right? Like I said, this is a very black book. Come on.
And was mighty in words and in deeds.
He was mighty in words and in deeds, right? So this is a Bible that's bigging up the Egyptian culture. It never bigged up the Roman culture like that. Not one Bible verse that said someone learned from the Romans was that they were mighty in words and deeds. You'll never find that. Actually, in the Apocrypha, it says when the Greeks took over, evil increased on the earth. This is a black history book. Come on.
Verse 23. And when he was full 40 years old.
Right, full 40 years old, right? That man done pushed up on 40. Come on.
It came into his heart to visit his brethren, the children of Israel.
Right, so he could have remained an Egyptian, right? That's something right here. Right, you could have remained an Egyptian. He could have remained an Egyptian and just chilled because he was dark skinned like the Egyptians. But man, the spirit jumped on him that he wanted to come and relate to, right, and relieve the children of Israel of their burdens. Come on.
Verse 24. And seeing one of them suffer wrong, he defended him and avenged him that was oppressed.
Right, he avenged him that was oppressed. So when you want to talk about a radical black revolutionary, you got to mention Moses. He relieved them that were oppressed. That's the same thing that Malcolm X was on, Marcus Garvey was on, Nat Turner was on, right? Or the Gullah Geechee Wars. They wanted to relieve their people that was oppressed. Come on.
And smote the Egyptian.
And smote the Egyptian. Come on.
Verse 25. For he supposed his brethren would have understood how that God by his hand would deliver them, but they understood not.
And to this very day, our people don't be understanding, even us. When we be out there on the highways and byways, when we be at camp rebuking their wickedness and tell them come back to the righteousness of the Most High God, right? They don't understand. They don't understand that the Most High God is going to deliver them like he delivered them out of the hands of the Egyptians. It's the same thing. This is black history. History always repeats itself. Right? They tell you in this Bible that there's no new thing underneath the sun. The Israelites were black back then and they're black now. Kwame Shala, or what you will call black. Right? We get Hebrews chapter 11, verse 23. Yeah. Hebrews 11 and 23. Right? Because remember, the Pharaoh's daughter took in Moses, made Moses her son. The Pharaoh's daughter, there you go, right? A good representation of the Pharaoh's daughter. She took in Moses and made Moses her son, right? Because Moses could have passed for her son because the Israelites and the Egyptians are all dark-skinned people. Read that for me.
This is the book of Hebrews, chapter 11 and verse 23.
Come on.
By faith, Moses, when he was born, was hid 3 months of his parents because they saw he was a proper child.
Right.
And they were not afraid of the king's commandment.
Right, because the king wanted to kill all the male Egyptian babies. Right? They call that what? The Hebrew babies. Like the Pharaoh wants to kill all the Hebrew babies. What you call that now? right? You call that what Margaret Singer be practicing in the Planned Parenthoods, right? The genocide of our babies, right? They call it ethnic cleansing, right? Read on.
Verse 24. By faith, Moses, when he was come to years, refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter.
Right, he refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter. Come on.
Verse 25. Choosing rather to suffer affliction with the people of God than to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season.
Right, and that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to suffer with the children of God because he could have. He could have just, chilled in Egypt, lived off that money. Because the Egyptians had a great treasure. They're still robbing the treasures of Egypt to this very day. Finding ancient tombs and stealing out the gold. The Egyptians had it like that. It was burying each other with trillions of dollars worth of gold. Right? Trillions of dollars worth of gold it was burying each other with. Enough to give a fortune and give money to every poor person right now they have in America. Moses could have lived illustrious with that kind of riches, but he didn't. And this is why. Read on.
Verse 26. Esteeming the reproach of Christ greater riches than the treasures in Egypt.
Right, because he knew he had the understanding of Christ. He dealt with Christ. He wrote of Christ. He wrote the prophecies of Christ. So Moses believed in Christ. So this is definitely a so-called black man's book. Because our black prophet Moses believed in our black Messiah Christ. Right? According to J. Edgar Hoover, or Gay Edgar Hoover, right, that damn cross-dressing Edomite, he said there shall not be a black Messiah. But we already had one. Right? Christ, you know?
For he had respect unto the recompense of the reward. Verse 27. By faith he forstood Egypt, not fearing the wrath of the king, for he endured as seeing him who is invisible.
Right? As seeing him who is invisible. We're talking about our Messiah Christ. In the Hebrew tongue, his name is really Hamashiach Yahushua. God? Right? And let's go back to the book of Acts to show you that even in the New Testament, us Israelites were mistaken for the Egyptians because of our dark skin. Because Paul the Apostle was mistaken for an Egyptian. We get Acts chapter 21 and verse 38. Acts 21 and verse 38. To show you that even Paul the Apostle was mistaken for an Egyptian. And how did the Egyptians look? Let's get some more ancient Egyptian artwork. They were dark-skinned people. They were brown-skinned, dark-skinned people. This is very ancient Egyptian artwork. Right? The Egyptians of antiquity were dark-skinned people. Right? Let's get that.
Acts 21 and 38.
Yeah.
This is the book of Acts, chapter 21 and verse 38.
Come on.
Are not thou that Egyptian which before these days madest and uproar and madest and uproar and leddest out into the wilderness 4,000 men that were murderers?
Right, so they're saying that, hey, ain't you this wild Egyptian dude that we know? Ain't you like one of these wild ass Egyptians? Because Paul, being a dark-skinned man, they thought he was an Egyptian. Because we deal with what? White Europeans at this time, Caucasians that ruled Europe and Greece. The Greco-Roman Empire around this time. Right? This is the time of the Greco-Roman Empire. So a dark-skinned man, they automatically thought he was an Egyptian, he was an African, he was a Hamite. But listen to what Paul says. Read verse 39.
Verse 39. But Paul said, I am a man which am a Jew of Tarsus.
So he said, I'm a man, I'm a Jew. I ain't no Egyptian. I know I might be dark-skinned like an Egyptian. I mean, look like one of these dark-skinned wild-ass Hamites. But I'm not one of them. I'm a Jew.
We are different.
We are different. We are completely different. I'm a Jew. I'm not one of them. That's why the Most High God made a difference between the Jew and the Hebrew. Let me get that in Exodus 11:7. Real quick. Most High God made a difference between us because we was always being mistaken for one another. To this very day. To this very day, they think that we Hamites, but all because we come out of Africa. But no, just like all through the Bible, the children of Israel were mistaken for Egyptians. Huh?
Gone.
Read that.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 11 and verse 7. But against any of the children of Israel shall not a dog move his tongue against man or beast, that ye may know how that the Lord doeth put a difference between Egyptians and Israel.
The Lord put a difference between the Egyptian and Israel. Yes, I know that we're both dark-skinned people, but there's a difference between us. We are holy people of the Most High God. Not only because we both have melanin, it doesn't make us the same as the rest of the Africans. We get confused with the rest of the Africans, even to this very day, but we're not African American. We are the Israelites of the Bible. We're not Jamaican, right? We're the Israelites of the Bible. We're not Puerto Rican or Dominican. We are the Israelites of the Bible. That's what we are. Thus saith the Lord, thus saith the Holy Bible, man. Right? Let's get one more thing out of the book of Acts. This is something they definitely don't want to teach you in school. They definitely don't want to teach you this in your history class. They definitely don't want to teach you this in Black History Month. But this is probably the blackest thing that happened in the Bible, where the apostles were called nigger, with the hard ER. So all through Black history in our civil rights movement with Rosa Parks, Martin Luther King, you see they was treating us bad and calling us nigger. All through our slavery, they was treating us bad and calling us nigger, but they don't want to show you in the book of Acts chapter 13. Go to chapter 13 and verse 1, we were called niggers too. Let's get that, Acts 13 and 1, and I'm going to pull it up in the blue letter. So you can hear that it may look like Niger in English, but when you speak it in the Greek tongue, it's actually nigger. Right? Acts 13 and 1.
This is the book of Acts, chapter 13 and verse 1.
What?
Now there were in the church that was at Antioch certain prophets and teachers as Barnabas and Simeon that were called Niger.
They were called what?
Niger.
Right? But it was actually called nigger. Right? It was actually called nigger because, right, you would pronounce it in English as Niger, right? Acts 13 and 1, right? However, when you go into the Bible, the blue letter, you see the actual word that they put in Greek. You go to the tools, and you know, you got a blue letter Bible, got your blue letter Bible, you know how to work it. You go to the tools of that verse, Acts 13 and 1. You go down to the word Niger, right? That's how you pronounce it in English, but they show you how to pronounce it in the in the Greek. And the Greek is really nigger, right? Check it out.
Strong's G 3526. Niger.
I'm not supposed to say that too.
Right. He was happy to say that. Right? He said, oh, this is the best part of the Bible. Right? But guess what? This is your Bible history. Let's get that again out of the blue letter. Right? This is Strong's G 3526. This is when the apostles in the New Testament, your Christian pastor never show you this, but this right here is Black history. The apostles in the New Testament, the people that rode with Christ and Peter and Paul and Barnabas, they were called niggers. There's nothing new beneath the sun. This is Black history. Let's get that one more time.
Strong's G 3526. Niger.
Right? Look it up. It's right here, Blue Letter Bible. I ain't gonna lie to you. The scriptures ain't gonna lie to you. Let me get a con 777 if you understand. That yes, according to the Bible, the people of Christ, the Jews that rolled with Christ, because there wasn't no Gentiles rolling with Christ and pushing the gospel. Was no heathens, was no Egyptians. It was Israelites. So the Israelites and the church in Antioch, remember, there was also first called Christians in the church in Antioch. Let's not forget that. They were also first called Christians in the church of Antioch because it was trying to ridicule the people of Christ, so they called them Christians. So the same place where they called them Christians, they called them niggers. Straight like that.
Crazy.
Big facts. Big Bible facts for your Black History Month. So make sure you send this to all your relatives, all your people, everybody. They gotta know that the Bible right here is Black history. But if that wasn't enough for you, we get Matthew chapter 2, verse 13. We're gonna get into a little bit more, right? It's not gonna be a super long lesson, but these type of things need to come out so you understand what you're dealing with. Understand that this Bible right here is Black history. The history of the Israelites, which is you, right? You people that came from the transatlantic slave trade, the sub-Saharan slave trade, that meet all the prophecies that's found in the Old Testament, the book of Deuteronomy, in the book of Leviticus. You are the real Israelites. In the book of Genesis, you are the real Israelites according to the Bible, right? The real Jews of the Bible are Black. Niggers, right?
Just say Nigers.
Right? Ninjas, right? Let's have it out, yeah.
Just have to make sure. Alright. Matthew 2 and 13.
Yeah, bring it out.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 2 and verse 13. And when they were departed, behold, the angel of the Lord appeareth to Joseph in a dream, saying, Arise, and take the young child and his mother, and flee into Egypt.
And flee where?
Into Egypt.
Because at that time, King Herod wanted to kill Christ. Because of the prophecies of Christ that he was going to come and destroy Edomites. That's in Isaiah 63. He's coming to destroy Edomites. Right? That's in the prophecy in the book of Numbers, chapter 24. He's coming to destroy Edomites. So Herod, being an Edomite, and being an Edomite that converted into Judaism, he understood that when Christ comes, he's going to destroy him.
He was like, oh, word?
Oh, word, dang. He done wrote the book of Obadiah, like, damn. Right? So he was like, nah, I'm going to try to kill this guy. Right? Read on.
And be thou there until I bring thee word, for Herod will seek the young child to destroy him.
Right, to destroy him, man. This is another, what you would call Planned Parenthood, where they're trying to destroy every young child to stop the coming of the prophets and the Messiah. Come on.
Verse 14. When he arose, he took the young child and his mother by night and departed into Egypt. Verse 15. And was there until the death of Herod, that it might be fulfilled, which was spoken of the Lord by prophets, saying, Out of Egypt have I called my son.
Right, so out of Egypt he called his son. Not that his son was Egyptian, but his son had to hide in Egypt from Herod amongst what? Other dark-skinned people. How is it consistently that our people are mistaken for other dark-skinned people, which are Egyptians, right? But let's hit that even more. Let's hit the Songs of Solomon, right? The great-great-grandfather of Christ himself, Solomon. The great-great-great-grandfather of Christ, which is Solomon, King Solomon, the son of King David. On King David, right? On King David, right? On King David, right? right? The son of King David, Solomon, right? The Songs of Solomon is right next to Proverbs,
Let's see it.
right?
It's actually right next to Ecclesiastes.
Yeah. And Ecclesiastes is right next to Proverbs. That's all Solomon's writings. Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, Songs of Solomon is all Solomon's writings. Start at verse 1.
This is the book of Psalms of Solomon, verse 1. The Song of Songs, which is Solomon.
The Songs of Songs, which is Solomon. This is describing King Solomon, the forefather of Christ. Read verse 5.
Verse 5. I am black but comely.
What did Christ say?
I am black but comely.
What did Solomon say?
I am black but comely.
What does the child of King David say?
I am black but comely.
He said, I am black but comely. I'm black and beautiful, man. I'm black and handsome. I'm black but comely. This is out the Bible. King Solomon is saying that he's black, right? Shazam could never say that. Read on.
O ye daughters of Jerusalem, as the tents of Kedar, as the curtains of Solomon.
So Solomon said, I'm just as dark as some curtains that you could use to block out the sun. So he's telling you how dark he is. Read on.
Verse 6. Look now upon me because I am black.
He said, look now upon me because I'm black. Because a lot of people may look at me kind of sideways because I'm so dark. Read on.
Because the sun hath looked upon me.
So I said, he's saying that I'm dark because the sun been on me. Read on.
My mother's children were angry with me. They made me the keeper of the vineyards, but my own vineyard have I not kept.
So he said, I'm this dark because my mother's children were angry with me. They were jealous of me. And they had me outside all day keeping their vineyards. So he said, I'm this dark because the sun was on me, tanning me. And you know what happens when you tan black people? They get even darker. That happens to me. Every time I go to Jamaica, I get like 2 shades darker. Even during the summertime, I'm darker than I am during the wintertime. So Solomon says, this is how I became dark because I was in the vineyards with the sun looking on me.
White people get red when they're in the sun.
Right, and white people get red. They start looking like my shirt when they're in the sun. They start looking like Heinz ketchup in the sun. Right? Start looking like a damn tomato face in the sun. That's why we call them rednecks over here in the South, because they get red in the sun. Y'all know. Right? So Solomon, who's the forefather of Christ, right, is obviously a so-called black man.
God.
But let's prove even further how Christ looked. We get the book of Daniel, chapter 10 and verse 6. In fact, start at verse 5. The book of Daniel, chapter 10 and verse 5. The Bible is black history. The Bible is black history. Make sure y'all like, y'all share, y'all subscribe, y'all pass this on. The Bible is black history, y'all.
This is Daniel chapter 10 and verse 5. Then I lifted up my eyes and looked, and behold, a certain man clothed in linen, whose loins were girded with fine gold from Uphaz. Verse 6. His body also was like the barrel, and his face as the appearance of lightning.
Come on.
And his eyes as lamps of fire. His arms and his feet like in color.
Like in what?
Like in color.
Like in what?
Like in color.
Who said the Bible don't got color in it? My Bible don't got color. Jesus ain't got no color. That's because you ain't reading, my nigga. You not reading. But guess what? We reading over here. But we know this. We know what the scriptures say. We know that the Bible is black history. Like in color, what kind of color was it?
To polished brass.
To what?
Polished brass.
Polished brass or refined through fire brass, right? Or burnt brass, right? It said his arms and his feet like what color to burnt brass, right? Read on.
And the voice of his words like the voice of multitude. of a multitude.
And his voice was like the voice of a multitude. He was a loud mouth, dude. He was very big on his voice. He didn't talk like damn Joel Osteen or like one of them damn booty bandit pedophile Catholic preachers, man. Like, yeah, yes, because praise God. No, he was a loud man like this. His voice sounds like the voice of a multitude, right? Rivers of water, the ocean crashing, a waterfall. That's how his voice sounds, right? So we're gonna get pictures of what burnt brass looks like, or refined through fire brass. So let's get this right here, right? This right here, brown skin, brown to dark brown. That's how brass looks, brown to dark brown. Brown to dark brown. See that? That's how brass looks when it's refined, right? Like when it's polished, when it's burnt in a furnace, when it's refined through fire. That's how brass looks, right? Let's get that in Revelation chapter 1, verse 14.
Revelation chapter 1 and verse 14. His head and his hairs were white like wool.
So it said his head and his hairs were white like wool, white and woolly. Our people being quote unquote Negroid, right? We have woolly hair. Con? Right, read on.
As white as snow.
Come on.
And his eyes were as a flame of fire.
Same thing in Daniel chapter 10. His eyes were like a flame of fire. Come on.
Verse 15, and his feet like unto fine brass.
Unto what?
Fine brass.
There you go again, fine brass. That derivative of brown. Brass is a derivative of brown. Just like bronze. They're brown color looking materials. Gone? Read on.
As if they burned in a furnace.
Right, as if they burned in a furnace. It was brown to dark brown, man. That's how Christ looked. But let's get God. How did God look according to the Bible? We get the book of Daniel again, chapter 7 this time. The book of Daniel, chapter 7 and verse 9. So according to the Bible, Moses was black, Paul was black, the Israelites are black, God is black, Christ is black, even the angels are black. We're going to get into all that, man.
Everybody black.
Everybody black. Besides the devil and Edomites and, Esau, people that's not chosen. You gotta understand the Bible is black history, man. The book of Daniel, chapter 7 and verse 9, Biblical show. Quick on those swords, come on.
7 and 9. This is the book of Daniel, chapter 7 and verse 9. Beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit.
Right.
Whose garment was white as snow, and the hair on his head like pure wool.
Like what?
Pure wool.
And he said the hair of his head was like pure wool, man. So even God rocking the mighty fro. The Ancient of Days is the Most High God. Right? The Ancient of Days is the Most High God, man. But how did he look? What was his color, though? What was his complexion? Let's get that in the book of Revelations, chapter 4, verse 3. Yep, Revelations 4 and 3.
This is the book of Revelation, chapter 4 and verse 3. As he that sat was to look upon like a jasper and a sardine stone.
Right, a jasper or a sardine stone, right? So he that sat on the throne looked like a jasper or a sardine stone, right? Kind of sound like a bar, right? He that sat on the throne shall look like a jasper or sardine stone. You feel me? But look, it's how jasper stone looks. It's a color of reddish brown. Still a derivative of brown, but reddish brown. Right? So it's kind of like a jasper stone or a sardine stone. We get a picture of a sardine stone right quick. Right here. Look at this one. Look at that. See that? A jasper and a sardine stone. Brown stones. That's the color of the Most High God. See, the Bible got all the answers, man. You just gotta look for it. Actually, it's a black man's book. That's almost my complexion right there at the bottom of that. The top of that looks light brown, close to my son's complexion, but the bottom kind of looks like my complexion. Trying to say the Most High God is brown skin, boy. Dark skin brown, light skin brown. Regardless, he's brown skin, not pale. Right? The children of Israel shall never wax pale. Matter of fact, we get that in Isaiah.
That's a sin, well, that's a curse.
Yeah, it's a curse being pale, but it says that we shall never wax pale. We get Isaiah 22 and 29. No, it's 29 and 22. Isaiah 29 and 22. Bring that out.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 29 and verse 22.
Bring it out.
Therefore, thus saith the Lord, who redeemed Abraham, concerning the house of Jacob.
So this is concerning the house of Jacob, you Israelites. Read on.
Jacob shall not now be ashamed, neither shall his face now wax pale.
It said, neither shall his face wax pale. That means there's never going to be a time when all the Israelites shall be pale-faced. Or even a majority of them pale-faced. That's what that means. You should not be ashamed, and your face shall not wax pale. Wax means become. Or move towards. So it will not wax pale. It shall never happen that the children of Jacob shall all be a pale-faced people. Or even a majority pale face. That's what it means. And you might have certain Israelites that mix with other races, like Drake and Drake's son. They're very light skinned. They look close to pale face. But Drake's on his father's side, it's still going to be a lot of dark skinned people. Because our children and our forefathers and our nation shall never, ever, ever wax pale. Khan?
Come.
Look how their faces are going to look. Let me get Lamentations 4 and 8. The word visage or visage, if you look it up, it means face or facial features. 4 and 8. Lamentations 4 and 8. We're just going to get a couple more. We're going to wind it down. Like, share, subscribe, let everybody know we are the people of the Most High for your Black History Month. You heard? For your Black History Month, you heard?
This is the book of Lamentations, chapter 4 and verse 8.
Bring it out.
Their visage is
Their visage or visage, either way you want to pronounce it. Their visage, right, is what?
It's blacker than a coal.
It's blacker than a coal.
You know what black coals are?
No, black coals are. So it says the Israelites, their visage, their facial features are blacker than coal. Right? That's it on that. Let's get Ezekiel. Ezekiel chapter 1 and start at verse 1. Right?
This is Ezekiel chapter 1 and verse 1.
Come on.
Now it came to pass in the 30th year, in the 4th month, in the 5th day of the month, as I was among the captives.
Right, among the captives. And continually you'll see that the Israelites were captives, actually slaves, which matches what happened to us here in America and throughout the four corners of the earth during the transatlantic slave trade. Right, read on.
By the river of Sebar, that the heavens were opened, and I saw a vision of God.
Read.
Verse 2. In the 5th day of the month, which was the 5th year of King Jehoiakim's captivity. Verse 3. The word of the Lord came expressively unto Ezekiel the priest, the son of Bezalel, in the land of the Chaldeans by the river of Chebar, and the hand of the Lord was there upon him. Verse 4.
Verse 4.
Verse 4. And I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north.
Right, a whirlwind came out of the north. That's what you would call a so-called UFO. A so-called UFO came out like a whirlwind out of the north, spinning like one of those movies. Come on.
A great cloud.
Come on.
And a fire enfolding itself.
So it came out looking like a great cloud, but a fire enfolding itself with the big lights and everything spinning. Come on.
And a brightness was about it, and out of the midst thereof, as the color of amber.
So it had the fire around it as the color of amber was bright. It's like, damn. Read on.
Out of the midst of the fire. Verse 5. Also out of the midst therefore came the likeness of 4 living creatures.
Right, out of the likeness came 4 living creatures, right? These are angels of the Most High. That came out of what you would call a so-called UFO after the heavens opened. And he started seeing signs and wonders. He's seen angels come down in what you would call a spaceship, a UFO, right? Jump to verse 7.
Verse 7. And their feet were straight feet, and the sole of their feet was like the sole of a calf's foot. And they sparkled.
They sparkled, come on.
Like the color of burnished brass.
Like the color of what?
Burnished brass.
So they were dark-skinned people. The same burnt brass it talks about that was on Christ. The same dark like a coal. The same sardine stone, just different shades of describing brown. The Bible is black history. Let me get Job 30 and 30. Then we're going to wind it down, man. Job, the book of Job, that's Old Testament. Job 30 and 30. The Bible is black history. Actually, you know what I'm saying? Y'all should definitely play this video more than once, take down notes, so you can definitely, bring your people to understanding. But, not everybody's going to understand. Some people don't want to understand. But if you understand, the Most High God has blessed you with the wisdom, knowledge, and intelligence to comprehend what is going on. Let's bring that up.
This is the book of Job, chapter 30, and verse 30. My skin is black upon me.
What did Job say?
My skin is black upon me.
My skin is black upon me, come on.
And my bones are burned with heat.
So he was suffering. He had a very dark-skinned skin, and his bones felt like they were burned with heat. Because what happens to our people, when the sun is on us, we get dark, like it says in the Songs of Solomon. So there you have it, man. The Bible's a black man's book. We showed you geography. We went into the linguistics. We went into the scriptures and the history. The Bible's nothing but the black man's book, man. And we're saying that, man, death and destruction to all the nations, man. Kwame Asha'Allah, let's get Ecclesiastes 12 and 13. Let's get up out of here, man.
This is the book Ecclesiastes, chapter 12, verse 13.
Come on.
Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter.
Let's hear the conclusion of this whole matter. Come on.
Fear God.
Do what?
Fear God.
Fear God, come on.
And keep his commandments.
And do what?
Keep his commandments.
And do what?
Keep his commandments.
You gotta fear God and keep his commandments. That is the real G code. That is our culture. us as Israelites. Come on.
For this is the whole duty of man.
Well, this is what?
The whole duty of man.
And that's the whole duty of man. Peace and blessings. The Israelite is black culture. The Torah is black culture. The Bible is the black man's book. You can catch us on the Clubhouse. You can catch us on Crown of Thorns on the Clubhouse. I'll be pushing the Kosher Breakfast 5 days a week, right? And peace and blessings, Israel, right? Any donations you send to Cash App, $ HOI Atlanta, Kwame Sha'ala, we still got next. Shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom.